and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Let's get to it.
All right, folks. Everyone's being rehabilitated. Everyone is right now deciding what's going to happen in 2024, Farron.
What is going to happen in 2024, Kit?
Well, apparently Bernie Sanders is out, and everyone is just in love with everyone's favorite war criminal daughter, Liz Cheney. That's right. I know. Liz Cheney is the one that's somehow going to change the Democratic Party, maybe like how Bernie Sanders did, according to mainstream media. And I know you have an interesting follow-up, and I kind of vomited in my brain when I heard it. But don't worry, folks. Don't believe what I'm saying? Let's play this first video from Case Study QB. Let's play it.
Susan, there's a lot of ways you could say that Liz Cheney has no path to a Republican nomination, the idea of a presidential campaign. Democrats will be reminded why they don't like her. But, I mean, take a step back. She is the face right now of opposition to Donald Trump in this country. What can she do with this new political organization?
Well, in the short term, she told you she would campaign against election deniers. She confirmed that means she'll be campaigning for some Democrats who are running against election deniers. She has the stature and the ability to raise money to have an influence on some of those races. And over the long term, who knows? Politics is not a straight line. Liz Cheney is 56 years old. She could run for president in 2024 or 2028 or 2032. Sometimes there are political figures who seem to be making symbolic stances, and you look back with the benefit of some hindsight and you see the influence they had on their party and on the country. I'm thinking of Bernie Sanders, who not everyone took very seriously at the beginning and who had a great effect on his party. We'll see if Liz Cheney has a similar course.
I mean, you could say Teddy Roosevelt, who left the Republican Party, ran as the Bull Moose candidate, and then the party actually tried to recruit him 8 years later to run as a Republican again.
That's not the same.
Okay, so obviously, so here's the thing. Folks, we actually have, Farron, you're an expert. You lived in Washington, D.C. You've seen the BS firsthand. We spoke a little bit before the show. This whole talk about Liz Cheney potentially running in the Democratic Party, somehow able to reform the Democratic Party or become the new face of rebellion against Trump, who I'll be surprised if he doesn't run in 2024. What are your thoughts on these comments, especially in regards towards this idea that 2024 is going to be this big shakeup because we've been hearing the rumors Biden may not run?
Right. So the first things first is any idea that Liz Cheney is going to come in as an independent and try to be kind of that spoiler the way Ross Perot was. It's not the same as it was back in the Ross Perot days, because right now you have two parties that are completely polarized. And the way our voting system is now is, I don't want that candidate to win, so I'll vote for this one. Not, hey, I like Joe Biden, or hey, I like Trump. It's always, I don't want Hillary to win, or I don't want Trump to win. So when it comes down to her, she might, for example, if she were to go against Trump, Trump obviously is going to get that nomination, and her people, let's say, which would probably lean more Republican, obviously, they're going to sit there and say, I don't want the Democratic candidate. So they're going to ultimately end up voting for Trump. So that completely gets rid of the whole third party spoiler. The second thing that's so ironic and funny to me is, Kit, every time you have like these evil villains, wait 20 years and then they're like wonderful people, like Dick Cheney, okay? The devil himself, like Dick Cheney broke the mold when the devil created that, he was done. Her father, being one of the biggest neocon war hawks there is, his daughter following a close second. But what's really interesting is if the Democratic Party really wants her, they're going to have to look at a number of things. One of the biggest ones is that she voted with Trump about 93% of the time when Trump was president. However, the only thing that she voted against Trump was for his impeachment. But let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? She opposed the $1.5 trillion infrastructure package. She opposed congressional approval for Trump to take military action against Iran. She opposed the Environmental Protection Agency issuing regulations pertaining to certain chemicals, i.e. PFAS, that get stuck in your water supply and eventually, ruin your body. She opposed restoring parts of the Voting Rights Act, opposed Affordable Care Act expansion, opposed allowing the federal government to negotiate lower prescription drug prices. And she also was previously against gay marriage until she was called out for her sister being gay. And then she showed support for waterboarding. And the ultimate one was she supported Barack Obama, who was a Democrat, yes, but for getting rid of habeas corpus, which is something that has been around since the Magna Carta. So do you really want Democratic Party really remove head from sphincter and really think about if you do want Liz Cheney to be your Democratic candidate? Rant over.
Well, well, here's the thing. It's not a rant. This is facts. Because again, this is Liz Cheney, who's part of a legacy family.
Right.
Like the Cheneys, just like the Kennedys, the Obamas, the Clintons, the Bushes. We all know who these people are. These politicians are part of an oligarchy. They're all friends with each other. And the thing is, corporate media makes it seem team red and team blue. And they've convinced a lot of Americans that, oh, well, we got to be on one side or we got to be the other side. That group's the enemy. That group is against us. That group stands against freedom. That group stands against liberty. All in all, at the end of the day, these politicians then get behind their closed smoke room, lobby halls, and they're laughing at us.
Yeah.
And they don't think about us. They don't respect us. They don't care about us at all. The politicians are all friends with each other. And the thing is, when you see a lot of liberals and people who have lost their critical thinking skills, especially after Trump was elected into office, you got to realize that there's a lot of liberals, vote blue no matter who people, who've been brainwashed by corporate media who think, oh, Liz Cheney stands against Trump? Oh, yeah, great. I'm with Liz Cheney. But then you read that list off right there.
She's a war hawk. She's a neocon war hawk.
And you know what? You know what's actually pretty sad about all this? That's just a fraction of what she's done.
Yeah, those are just 8 little bullet points, just off the top of my head.
And the thing is, folks, and again, I want my audience, do your own research. You can check it out. Here's the thing. I'm not going to tell you what to think or how to vote or even how to feel about a certain politician or candidate. That's up to you to make that decision. However, you have the Library of Alexandria here at your fingertips, right there on your laptop. You can look at Liz Cheney's voting record. You can look at all these politicians' voting record. Now tell me, if you're a diehard Republican voter, diehard Democratic voter, look us in the eye and tell us, you really think these politicians care about you? Look at their voting record. They're only going to care about their number one constituents, not you, the average voter, but corporations, big banks, hedge fund managers, private equity groups. I mean, you don't have a seat at the table.
And folks, I really urge you to look up your congressman or your senator. You can look it up on their senate.gov or house.gov, and you can see how many times these folks are actually going on the floor and voting. You folks will be shocked to realize how much they're not voting on stuff, how much they are actually abstaining from voting. And abstain doesn't mean, gee, I don't know if I like that bill or not. I'm going to wait. No, they're abstaining because they have some kind of connection to it and they don't want it on their record. If there was an actual piece of legislation that said you have to vote on every bill, then it would be like what Robin Williams said. You'd have the little NASCAR jackets and all the different people who are sponsoring them or with which lobbyists are paying into their campaign.
Obviously.
But the other thing is that in D.C., as you mentioned, there is a 2-party system for sure. There always has been a 2-party system. However, that system has changed, and now it's the insiders versus the outsiders. There is no difference. It doesn't matter if you have a D or an R next to your name. It's the insiders versus the outsiders. McConnell and Chuck Schumer, they're in the same camp. Nancy Pelosi, sometimes Kevin McCarthy, same camp. They don't care about us. We're the last people they care about. And if you have any questions about that, all of the money that we've given to a certain country over in Eastern Europe right now, all of the money we've given them, we would have been able to solve the heroin epidemic. 1 in 6 kids go to bed hungry every night. We could have ended child hunger. We could have ended homelessness. There's a lot of money a lot of stuff we could have done with that money. But sorry, guys, we got to pay for our values and pay for democracy. Not here, though. Overseas.
But the thing is,
sorry, too rash.
No. But the thing is, you're bringing up a lot of good points, and I also want to bring this back again to how Liz Cheney is being rehabilitated by corporate media. Because again, you listed off 8 bullet points of what she's done. So to our viewers, it's important for all of you to understand. Look, these politicians, they're not perfect. They're people just like us, including your favorite progressive lawmakers. And you mentioned again 20 years before we the show. In 20 years, don't be surprised if you see a lot of liberals saying, oh, wow, Trump's a great guy. There's going to be some person like Ellen DeGeneres or, I don't know, somebody's going to be dancing with Trump and everyone's going to say, Trump, he's not so bad. He's actually a pretty nice guy because look what they're doing to W. But you brought up something else here, too. There's also more talk about 2024.
Right. Right.
Hang
now.
on, folks. We got a doozy for this one.
Yeah,
Share it with the people.
so get your barf bags ready, folks, because this one truly is one for the books. So this is from Michael Starr Hopkins of The Hill. He's saying, see if you can guess it, okay? Let's see in the chat. See if we can guess it, okay?
Homework assignment, folks.
Yeah. She's the voice of a movement that began after the banks were bailed out by the government and homeowners were left to default. She isn't beholden to corporations. Why? She's a small dollar fundraiser and could out Trump like no other politician has been able to. Who do you think it is, Kit? I'll give you 3 letters.
All right. 3 letters.
Not FBI.
Not FBI. CIA?
Nope.
DOD?
Nope.
FCC?
Oh, you got the last letter right.
FEC?
Nope.
I know. AOC.
Yep. A new CNN poll finds that 75% of Democratic and left-leaning voters want someone other than President Biden in 2024, and AOC would represent that bridge the Democrats create. She would boost GOP turnout as a result of right-wing networks. She would built obviously to scare elderly white voters. She would electrify the party's base, turn out the youth at record levels, and bring the party together by acknowledging the threat posed by electing Trump Republicans. If anyone is prepared to unify the Democratic Party and put the focus back on the working class, it's AOC. Republicans laugh, Democrats fawn, but if voters trust her, we could finally be looking at the first woman president.
Which
Barf.
I call BS, because if AOC is such a tough leader, right, you would think she would show up to, again, Chris Small's ALU, Amazon Labor Union, rally to unionize a lot of the Amazon warehouses. If AOC was such a tough person, she would have not waited at the last minute with her good friend Cori Bush to run and stop Nancy Pelosi from adjourning Congress in 2021. Remember that housing crisis? Remember that housing crisis situation that's still ongoing? And they did that little protest in Capitol, on the Capitol building, and
So
nothing
monumental.
happened. Oh, wait. And how can we also forget where AOC, she was angry at Tulsi Gabbard for voting present, not even voting to impeach Trump at the time, but voted present. And AOC said voting present in this time, in these important era, is a bad thing to do. More or less, she said those words.
She's so brave.
But then she did the stunning brave thing. When it came time for funding for the Iron Dome, when Nancy Pelosi, ice cream Nancy Pelosi, wagged her finger in front of AOC's face, AOC cried, changed her no vote to a present.
Well,
Bravo.
Well, not even that. When you had, I mean, just let's go back to the very, very beginning. An easy thing that they could have done: force the vote. She was head of that and could have gotten all of her squad behind her and actually showed the Democratic Party, like, yo, we're in this too. You're going to have to kind of buckle for us too, because Lord knows Bernie wasn't doing anything. And here, force the vote, nothing. They all caved. They all, you can see that they've all been bought by some corporation or another. They haven't voted to help bring the drug prices down. They haven't voted for any of this stuff that they said that they were going to do. Just like how Joe Biden said he was going to, make it so that anybody who had a marijuana charge with 10 years to life was going to be able to get out. They care more about Brittany Griner being brought back from Russia on her marijuana charge than they care about Americans here. But back to AOC, though, the other interesting point here is, because they call her, oh, she's this superstar. She cared more about Alex Stein, Primetime 99, saying that she had this big, juicy booty than she did about Americans sleeping in tents outside of Union Station 3 blocks from the Capitol. She cared more about that and what he did to her and how he was, he was trolling her. She cared more about that than actual people literally sleeping blocks away from the Capitol. That's all you need to know, folks.
We forgot one other important thing. AOC being brave. Not only did she say that the force to vote thing was violent, but let's remember this shining example of bravery from AOC. And that was when Nina Turner was running on her second campaign and none of the people from the Congressional Progressive Caucus showed up. AOC showed up at the last day, the last minute to endorse Nina Turner when it didn't even matter at all. I know. That's a thing, folks.
Cheers to that.
So you got AOC being touted as this great leader. You have Liz Cheney being rehabilitated. But don't worry, folks. Hang on. I'm going to put some more salt in the wound. If you're ready to cry, do so now. Because guess what? If this guy can teach a class, you can do anything. There's no excuse. Don't say that you can't do anything because this guy, well, you're going to learn something about leadership. Hey, everyone's being rehabilitated. Soon, someday, Trump will be too. Faze, play that video.
The chief executive has got to be bold within reason and daring in application. I recognize very few people watching this will become president, but I think you'll find lessons in leadership that will apply to your life. As president, sometimes I had information that the American people didn't know, and therefore I had to make decisions what was best for the country on knowledge that wasn't evident. That's just the nature of leadership. So long as you're guided by principle, and so long as you're guided by a cause greater than self, you can endure criticism because it's going to come. One of the things I missed after the presidency was this daily learning, and thankfully painting came into my life. It's a learning experience because with every paint stroke, you learn something new. All right, I'm going to do another flower. It's important to have a set of priorities.
Pause it for a second. Pause it. I'm sorry.
I'm going to do another flower.
He's going to do another flower. Listen, folks, this guy was president. And the thing is, hey, you want a president to sit down and have a beer with? Okay, fine. You got him. Here he is teaching about leadership now. I hope all of you are paying attention. This is the guy that led us into Iraq, whose entire administration lied about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and corporate media went along with it, from CNN to Fox News, MSNBC, CBS, ABC. No one had the audacity, courage, or backbone to really challenge the fact that there were about the lie of WMDs in Iraq. Look, millions of people were affected by this ridiculous war on terror that's still ongoing. The legacy of George Bush Jr. is madness, stupidity, and an economic disaster that followed afterwards that we're still living through. But yet, hey, he's teaching a class. But don't worry, folks. Gotta put a little bit more salt in the wound. Let's play the rest of
I'm
the
going to
phase.
go make another flower.
Oh, you want? Oh, great. Yeah. Hey, me too. I got some flowers on me. I got some flowers right here. There you go. Let's play it.
Your team, your company, your managers have got to understand those priorities. To me, the most important priorities were my faith in my family and my friends. That may sound corny to some, but it helps you reorganize the rest of your life. Welcome, darling.
Thanks. Great. Glad to be here.
When I was speaking to audiences, I didn't want them to think I was smarter than they were. One of the keys
Don't worry. Get in. Don't worry, buddy.
Enable the person you're talking to
Do not
relax.
worry.
Wait,
You know,
pause it for a
I was
second.
master.
Pause it for Faze, I see you laughing there. Keep the discipline. This is a test, and you are laughing now. Keep the discipline. Let's play it.
The malaprop,
Yeah, let's play
misunderestimate.
Try Not to
The
Laugh.
press corps reaction was, did the guy really just say that?
That happened a lot, actually.
I remember right after 9/11 in the Oval Office talking about praying for families that had suffered loss. I broke down in tears. If your heart is touched, let people know that your heart is touched. Not everybody is going to be a leader, but everybody can end up being a better person. The challenge of life is not to attain wealth and status and
You'll
power.
own nothing
The
and be
challenge
happy.
of life is to improve and to learn to love better. And everybody can do that. I'm George W. Bush, and this is Masterclass.
Wait, so what exactly is he teaching?
He's teaching about what it means to be a leader, but don't
Wait,
worry.
is he teaching painting?
He's going to be teaching whatever. I mean, not qualified. I don't know.
So he's going to be teaching painting. What's next? Dick Cheney going to be teaching pottery? Like, what is this?
No. Dick Cheney's going to be teaching shooting 101.
Quail shooting 101.
Quail shooting 101. See somebody next to you that starts talking some smack? Bam! Blast them in the face.
And
That's
you'll
all you
teach
gotta
the
do.
person who shot you in the face, or that you shot in the face, how to apologize back to you for being in the way.
Yeah, I'm sorry I got in your way, Dick. I'm sorry my face got in the way of your bullet. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
My
Dick. There
face
you go.
just it was in your way.
My face was in your way. So there you go, folks. But don't worry, Bernie Sanders will probably also there'll be talk around Bernie Sanders rolling in 2021 as 2024 as well. Why did I say 2021? I screwed that up. 2024. It's going to be one big clown show. And you know what? Don't worry. You're going to probably see a lot of people have some mental breakdowns when Trump decides to throw his hat right back in the ring again, and 2016 and 2020 will be repeating itself over and over again. It's the nightmare.
Well, here's my thing. So these master classes, okay, I think they go for like a good $250 each, like because you're supposed to, get it from the master. And again, I don't know what I mean. Hopefully, he's learned how to say the word nuclear by now. We'll see, TBD. But the question is, though, I would actually love it if he said, "Hey, every dollar that I get from all of these students, he's going to get like give it back to like families in Iraq that you completely destroyed." I love how he says faith, family, and friends. Let's ask how many Iraqi people still have their faith, family, and friends after you went in there and roughed some crap up. Let's go back and see how important it is to others that you destroyed it for.
I wonder how many people got suckered into this masterclass. As the old saying goes, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you can't get fooled again. Just like politics. You can't get fooled again. They're not going to lie to us. Oh, wait. They already are. 2022 is going to be the canary in the coal mine for how 2024 will play out, folks. So stay tuned to Hard Lens Media, and you'll learn it. Any other final notes that you want to add to this story?
Again, I think it's so interesting how, back in the day, you had it where George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, everyone, you had war, if you think back to that time period, I was in high school. And there were so many protests happening of people against the war, saying that they didn't agree with this. People even over in Europe, people were calling George W. Bush and Dick Cheney the next, Adolf and Hitler and all that other stuff, calling them complete warmongers. And now today, they are God's gift. I mean, and it's, to me, it's just, do we have to wait 20 years for Trump now?
Yeah.
Or will he ever, because again, for Dick Cheney to say that Trump is a threat, in 20 years, will Trump not be that threat anymore, seeing that he was called out by the biggest warmonger that we know? Who's to say? But again, I just think it's hilarious how these folks have such a tiny little goldfish memory of what these people did and all of the destruction that they caused that not only destroyed, major parts of the Middle East, our own country as well, our soldiers, our families, families overseas.
Our economy as well, and so many other domestic issues at hand. Folks, it's a nightmare, and we're all going to be living through it. So the only way we're going to get through this is by breaking away from the two-party system and building movements and organizations that are not connected to Washington, D.C.